Ducati's controversial decision to sign the 8-time world champion was initially seen as a bold gamble that went against everything the brand had built. But as the season unfolds, one by one, the doubters are being silenced. And now, a theory that Ducati brought in Marquez not for headlines but to address the limitations of the GP25 is beginning to make a lot of sense. This move didn't just alter Ducati's path, it shook up the entire MotoGP landscape. It cost them young talent, reshuffled key team alliances, and ultimately brought them the one thing they were desperate for: performance right now.
Welcome to GP Time. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates.
Ducati's move to promote Marc Marquez from Gresini Racing to the factory squad, replacing Enea Bastianini for the 2025 season, was initially seen as a complete break from their identity. For years, Ducati, especially under general manager Gigi Dall'Igna, has followed a clear philosophy: invest in young, homegrown Italian talent and develop the bike from within. Riders like Andrea Dovizioso, Francesco Bagnaia, and Bastianini were all products of this vision. But that all changed with the signing of Marc Marquez, a high-stakes, high-priced move. And the fallout was immediate. Jorge Martin, who had a standout 2024, felt betrayed and left for Aprilia. Enea Bastianini lost his seat and moved to Tech 3 KTM. Pramac Racing, Ducati's longtime satellite partner, split from the brand and signed with Yamaha. At first, it looked like Ducati was trying to buy a title and turning away from the technical project they'd built for years. But Gigi Dall'Igna saw something others didn't. According to inside reports and whispers around the paddock, Ducati knew the Desmosedici was reaching a ceiling. The GP24, which Marquez rode at Gresini, was widely considered the most balanced and polished Desmosedici ever. But when the GP25 rolled out, red flags started popping up, especially with front-end stability and braking feel. Gigi knew the Desmosedici project had reached its peak, said Carlo Pernot, longtime MotoGP manager and Bastianini's representative. The GP25 isn't a perfect bike. The risk of a technical step back was real. So Ducati needed a rider who could survive and even thrive when the bike wasn't perfect. And that's where the theory came in. Ducati signed Marquez because they were entering a transition year. With technical progress slowing, they needed a rider whose talent alone could make up the difference. It's not about building the bike for Marquez. That's a misunderstanding, Pernot added. It's about putting a rider on the bike who can take 2 steps forward when the machine can't. Marc Marquez silenced all the doubters instantly. In the first 24 races of the season, including the sprint races, he's won 19 times, with 11 sprint victories and 8 Grand Prix wins. He leads the standings with 381 points, a whopping 120 points ahead of his brother, Alex Marquez, who's riding a GP24 at Gresini. Marquez looks like his old self from the Repsol Honda days, only now on a far more competitive machine. He's winning everywhere. Fast tracks like Mugello and Aragon, and technical circuits like Sachsenring, Assen, and Burano. He's proven he can adapt, attack, and dominate. Meanwhile, Francesco Bagnaia, expected to be Marquez's main challenger, is still struggling to gel with the GP25. Despite being a 2-time world champion, he's only managed 1 win at Cota and 1 pole at Brno. He's now 3rd in the standings, 168 points behind his teammate. He's voiced consistent frustrations about the front-end feel, and his confidence is clearly shaken. Ducati's move triggered a wave of major changes in the paddock. 1 year ago, Ducati signing Marc Marquez looked like a betrayal of their core philosophy. Today, that decision is being hailed as a masterstroke, bold, visionary, and incredibly effective. Ducati didn't just sign a big name, they bought time, certainty, and the ability to stay on top while facing an aging platform. Gigi Dall'Igna made a high-stakes move. But you know, when your machine is close to its limit, sometimes the best upgrade isn't mechanical, it's human. Marc Marquez has become the face of Ducati's transformation, not just for the brand, but for the entire MotoGP world. And now one question remains. Is this the start of a new Marc Marquez dynasty or just the beginning of Ducati's next revolution? As the MotoGP paddock braces for the 10th anniversary of one of the most controversial moments in racing history, the infamous 2015 Sepang clash, emotions are once again running high. The memory of that explosive Grand Prix, which saw tensions boil over between Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez, refuses to fade from the sport's collective memory. Now, with a decade of hindsight, legendary figures in the sport are breaking their silence. and none more explosively than former Italian rider Loris Reggiani. In a scathing interview that's, well, lit up the racing world, Reggiani didn't hold back his thoughts about Marquez's conduct in 2015. The former 250cc World Championship runner-up delivered a blistering critique of the six-time MotoGP champion, accusing him of betraying the very spirit of the sport. Marquez disrespected the sport that season. He disqualified himself as a man, Reggiani declared. I used to be his fan. In fact, I actually preferred Marc to Valentino. I admired his entrance into MotoGP, his fearless style, and his ability to put everyone in their place. Nobody can deny his talent, but Marquez, the man, he lost a lot of respect. I'm not surprised he's being booed, especially in Italy. He should have expected it. Perhaps one of the most hotly debated images in MotoGP history is the alleged kick from Rossi that supposedly caused Marquez to crash. But Reggiani, who has long observed the mechanics of racing at the elite level, remains adamant that this narrative doesn't hold up. That supposed kick? Let's be serious, he said. You can't physically kick someone on a MotoGP bike going at those speeds and angles, not without crashing yourself. It was clearly contact, but it wasn't what they made it out to be. People need to stop distorting what really happened. Shifting to present-day issues, Reggiani didn't stop with his historical critique. He also offered pointed commentary on the current Ducati factory lineup, particularly regarding Francesco Pecco Bagnaia and his 2025 struggles. Bagnaia is a great rider, don't get me wrong, but he's carrying a heavy weight on his shoulders right now, Reggiani explained. There's pressure from the factory, pressure from Italy, and now pressure from having Marc Marquez as a teammate. That's a storm even the best would struggle with. He continued, having Marc in the same garage is like having a lion next to you. You can't relax for a second, and I think that's affecting Pecco mentally. You can see it in his racing. He's overthinking, pushing when he shouldn't, hesitating when he needs to commit. While Ducati has publicly backed both riders, insiders suggest that team dynamics behind closed doors are tense. Reggiani, like many, questions whether the pairing is sustainable in the long run. It's a bomb waiting to go off. Two alpha riders in the same garage? It rarely ends well. Unless Ducati has a clear leadership structure, there's going to be fireworks. Reggiani's comments have stirred up deep emotions across the MotoGP community, especially among Rossi loyalists who still feel justice was never served. His words arrive at a time when MotoGP is undergoing massive shifts, with veterans like Marquez still commanding the spotlight, and new generations of riders trying to step out from their shadows. As for Marquez, he has remained characteristically tight-lipped about the Sepang affair, perhaps hoping time would eventually mute the critics. But with figures like Reggiani refusing to let the past go unchallenged, and with fans still jeering in places like Mugello, it's clear the legacy of 2015 isn't just part of MotoGP history. It's still shaping its present.